It's that time of year again, when calendars begin filling up with festive events and holiday gatherings. But if you've just recently started plant-based eating, it can also be a season of worry and anxiety. You could be wondering, how do I navigate this holiday season? And what will I serve? Well, if these thoughts are on your mind, let's tackle those concerns together. In this episode, let's take a closer look at one of the top questions plant-based eaters have around holiday season. What to make as the main entree for a family festive gathering. I'll give you 5 meal ideas you and loved ones can enjoy for the holidays and year-round. So if you're ready to be inspired with a few new meal ideas, cozy up now with your favorite holiday time drink and let's get started. Welcome to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Anna Zinn, plant-based registered dietitian and transition coach. Hi friend, do you want to regain your health with plant-based eating but feel overwhelmed and lost about how to do it? Do you feel it'll be hard to change your meat-heavy diet and impossible with working, running the home, or chasing after the grandkids? If so, you're in the right place. Here you'll find simple strategies, clear nutrition guidance, and practical tips to help you thrive plant-powered with more energy. So if you're ready to ditch the guesswork and transform your health the stress-free way, cozy up now with a hot cup of tea or listen while you walk, and let me show you how doable plant-based eating can be. Let's do this. To start us off, I want to spotlight a review of this podcast and thank a listener with Apple ID MixieM30. She wrote, "Helpful advice for plant-based eating. This podcast really helps take the overwhelm out of plant-based eating. I have been wanting to include more plant-based meals for my family due to the health benefits. This podcast has helped me see that eating plant-based doesn't need to be boring or restrictive. So many great tips and ideas." Thank you, MixieM30, for your kind feedback of this podcast with a 5-star rating and review. You're not alone in thinking that eating plant-based would be limiting and unappealing, since it would be focused on plants and animal-based foods would be removed. But actually, the plant-based world is so vast and diverse that there are many, many plant-based meals and options possible. I'm happy that you're already seeing that through the episodes you have listened to so far on this podcast. Keep listening so you can gain many more tips and plant-based meal ideas. Friend, would you like to support the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast and help it reach more listeners like MixieM30? If so, all you need to do is take a quick moment to leave a star rating and written review on Apple Podcasts. Tell me how this podcast is making a difference in your life and perhaps those of your loved ones, health or otherwise. I would love to hear about it. Here's how to leave a rating and review. If you have an Apple device, find the Apple Podcast app icon. It's purple with white circles. Open it, then search for Plant-Based Eating Made Easy. Once there, scroll all the way down past the 5-star symbols and then click on Write a Review. Leave a star rating, write your review, then click Send or Submit. That's it. You can also leave a review if you have iTunes downloaded on your PC computer. Pause this episode right now to leave a review, then resume listening. Thank you so much for your support of this podcast. Now let's get into today's topic. It's the holiday season, and there's often lots going on, both on calendar and off calendar. On the calendar, there may be work parties to attend, meal gatherings at relative homes, Christmas plays, and end-of-term school performances. Off calendar, there may be a house to clean because guests are coming, holiday decorations to put up, clothes and gifts to buy, cookies to bake, and not to mention likely many presents to wrap. That's why, if you're feeling rather frazzled with all the to-do lists and activities, it's completely natural. There can be so much going on, and possibly doubly so if you're making your diet transition during this time. But eating plant-based during this period is still doable, and I want to show you how. During the holidays, I know one of the biggest challenges many transitioning plant-based eaters face is this: what to make for that main entree at the holiday meal gathering. Have you been wondering this exact same thing? This may be especially on your mind if your whole family is now eating plant-based, or if you need to make a plant-based alternative for yourself and a few select others when dining together with meat eaters. Often in the United States and in many countries around the world, the centerpiece for a Thanksgiving meal or Christmas dinner would be a roasted turkey with stuffing or roasted ham. Less commonly, it may be some roasted beef or roasted pork shoulder or loin. In parts of Europe, like in Sweden, Christmas dinner could center around fish, while in Germany it may be roast goose or roast carp. So what do you do if you're eating plant-based and are avoiding now meats and other animal-based foods? Let's look at some options now. Here's one possible holiday main entree you can consider. It's a vegetable pot pie. Did you know? You can make a pot pie but use vegetable broth, beans, and vegetables to create a delicious, satisfying filling without needing to include chicken or minced meat. Alternatively, besides a traditional pot pie, you can make a savory lentil mushroom pie instead. There are many different possible variations, and it can all be tasty. A second possibility is this: stuffed squashes. Not only is this easy to do, it also helps to build a balanced final meal and results in a colorful centerpiece on each person's plate. First, pick the squash you want to use. You can use summer squashes like yellow squash or zucchini, or pick more common fall favorites like acorn squash or butternut squash. Then, cut a squash in half and use a spoon to scoop out the center portion with the seeds in order to create a small, bowl-like hollow. Next, bake them in a preheated oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 204 degrees Celsius till cooked through. This would take about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the size of your squash. Meanwhile, saute a mixture together to create a filling, such as using a cooked whole grain like brown rice or barley, with vegetables, beans, fresh herbs, and seasonings. After this, fill that hollow space in the squash halves with the sautéed filling mixture, then bake these filled squashes again. I remember one Thanksgiving when a distant relative came to visit us for a few days. This relative had never had acorn squash before, so I knew I wanted to make something with it so he could try it. I ended up creating a stuffing mixture using cooked lentils, sautéed vegetables, cooked buckwheat, and seasonings stuffed into acorn squash halves, then baked. In the end, it turned out well and he enjoyed it. A third idea is this: make a vegan lasagna. A vegan lasagna can be just as delicious as a regular one, just that it's meatless. And there are many variations of this that you can make. One example would be a black bean and spaghetti squash lasagna. Other examples are a spinach and tofu ricotta lasagna, or even a pumpkin parsnip lasagna. You can also make one using zucchini, red kidney beans, and kale. Actually, if you have a loved family lasagna recipe already, there are many ways you can upgrade that to make it plant-based. For example, instead of cheese, you can use crumbled and seasoned tofu to create a ricotta-like texture and cover the lasagna layers with a creamy cashew sauce. I hope these ideas help to get you thinking. A fourth idea is this: make a mushroom Wellington. Have you heard of a beef Wellington before? This is a traditional dish of English origin, usually made of beef, covered with a meat or mushroom-based puree, and then wrapped in puff pastry and baked. Well, one possible main entree option is to make a plant-based version of this, with a mushroom-based filling. Then, instead of using the usual egg wash to make the pastry golden brown while baking, you can simply make an eggless wash from a plant-based milk or use aquafaba to brush onto the pastry. Aquafaba refers to the cooking liquid from either cooked chickpeas, from a can of chickpeas, or from a can of white beans. Note that during baking, you may need to allow a little more time for the pastry to cook all the way through and for the pastry to turn golden brown. Now let's move on to a fifth possible main entree option. That's to make a lentil shepherd's pie. I remember making this for a Christmas dinner gathering with friends last year, and it was well received. One of the key differences is that instead of using minced meat, you can use cooked or canned green or brown lentils instead as a substitute. Again, if you have a home favorite shepherd's pie recipe already, you can think of ways to still use that recipe but modify some of the ingredients used to turn it into a plant-based recipe. For example, instead of cow's milk, you can use a plant-based milk to make the mashed potato topping layer. But if you prefer, feel free to use a sweet potato mash layer on top instead. It'll look more festive too. So today we looked at 5 possible main entree meal ideas you can make when planning a plant-based holiday meal. These are ideas that you can use not just during the holidays, but year-round too. But know that these are just 5 possibilities out of many. There are actually many different main dish entree options possible because the plant-based world is vast. Here's the key takeaway point. Just by thinking a little outside of the box, you and loved ones can still enjoy a comforting, tasty, and colorful festive meal, and perhaps start some new holiday meal traditions in the process. If you've enjoyed these meal ideas shared on today's podcast and want more inspiration and plant-based meal ideas, I invite you to check out the online Plant-Powered Life Transformation course. This self-paced course will give you a clear step-by-step approach to making a smooth transition to a plant-powered lifestyle, show you how to prep and use common plant-based ingredients, and provide lots more meal ideas and tasty, easy-to-make whole food plant-based recipes. Go to plantnourish.com/PPLT course or see the link in the show notes to find out more. Let's keep you moving forward towards plant-powered health during the holidays and beyond. Thank you for listening to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. If this podcast has helped you, please rate and leave a written review on the Apple Podcast app or iTunes to let me know. Nothing will lift me up more than to read your review and see how this podcast has made a difference in your life. I also pick reviews to read on this show, so your review could be one of them. Come connect with me in my free Facebook community group, Beginners for Plant-Based Diet Success. Just go to bit.ly/PB Diet Success. That's bit.ly/PB Diet Success. You can also subscribe and follow this podcast to get notified when a new episode goes live. Signing off now, this is Anna, and I wish you the best health always.